We'll start her again. Sitting down here with Don again. This is going to be a short one. We said that last time.
Yeah.
Kind of like a hunt, right? Like, oh, yeah, we'll just go out for a short hunt.
Oh, God. Don't ever... yeah. Be a quick one. I'll be right back, honey.
Yeah, it's going to be about...
Yeah. Yeah. On day 2, she has to come rescue me. Yeah. Because I'm stuck somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Takes a special woman to be a houndsman's wife, that's for sure.
Man, you ain't lying. I like it whenever they're like, you need to get these dogs out of here.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I didn't have to, Shannon, when you have to beep that now. I think I just didn't say it.
Yeah. Yeah, that brings us to the topic of discussion for this podcast, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That you brought home another puppy.
A puppy.
Yeah. So I get to babysit the puppy while you're working or whatever.
I seen, I was on Facebook. It was, Gun Dog Supply, Steve Snell, guy was down the slide.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, I Facebook friends on him, and I seen a little, like, meme or whatever, the internet thing. It was a screenshot of his text messages. That his wife says, we're expecting a date. And it showed a picture of a thing that wouldn't load, because Steve was out hunting.
Yeah.
If you don't know Steve, like Steve's kind of like us, but he's a bird guy. He's always hunting.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I like Steve. But it was just like the downloading sign.
Yeah.
He's like, this better be a puppy.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. I thought we were past that stage.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyways, this is for some people. Again, we're trying to do some training talks, some for the longest time, I was like, no, we're not talking dogs. And I've just had to get over that. Like, hey, we're going to talk about different things of aspects of dogs. And there's a ton of different, I say this every time. Everybody's probably like, buddy, just shut up. We know. Different ways for different folks. We're just talking about one. But picking a puppy, we're going to talk about that topic a little bit. What are some things you want to look for? What are things that you want to consider? This was a topic that you kind of came up on dinner last night. We were talking.
Absolutely. I'm really, this is a topic I'm very passionate about. I think this is probably one of the most important topics of, moving into the field of sporting dog, no matter what, whether it's scent hounds or probably any working dog. But I know scent hounds because that's what I've done for the majority of my life. So it's just extremely important, and it's not foolproof. I wish it was more foolproof, but it's not. So it's an important topic, I think.
Yeah.
I think probably some of, I have, little cliches that, I refer to, and one of them is probably the best cat dog that was ever born, ever bred, probably died on the end of a chain, never caught a cat in its life.
Really? What do you mean by that?
I just feel I
know what you mean by it, but I want you to explain that.
What I mean by that is that, the person got a dog thinking it was going to be easy to do, and I'm just going to go out and catch cats with it, and none of the work was done, and they got discouraged and tied the dog up, and that's where it stayed. It never had the opportunities to become the dog that it could have become, and died there.
A different handler.
It would have been a world beater, and would have been the dog that all of us houndsmen, I would have been more than happy to pick a puppy from.
Right.
And yet that dog died on the end of the chain. We never got to see it. So I've always felt that way, and the reason I felt that way, I feel that way, is again back to that old Sally dog. 2 or 3 years old before I got her, never hunted, never was messed with. She was dying on the end of a chain every day, getting closer.
It was just somebody that had a dog tied out.
Yep. And I got lucky and got hold of the dog, and turned out to be, to this day, in 30 plus years of owning dogs, probably getting close. Yeah, 35 years of having dogs. Still one of the best dogs I've ever owned. As far as cat dogs, taught me a lot. And
you didn't go pick that dog up from a pup from the ground?
Nope. I just picked her up, but she would have died on the end of a chain. And here's where I screwed up with that dog too. Was this is when I really started taking a real stand against doing everything the old timer down the road says. Is
right.
I had a couple guys say, just spay that dog, this and that, and I did. And I got no puppies after that. There's no going back.
Really?
Had I not listened to him, I could have got some puppies out of that, and I would have increased my chance of having more Sallys. But I didn't. I listened to. I'm not saying don't listen to them old timers. I'm just saying that be your own houndsman. I'm going to advocate for that.
Yeah.
Be your own houndsman.
At some point, you got to get off the interstate. Everybody's doing it this way, and you got to figure out what exit is yours.
Absolutely.
And make your own little road.
Absolutely. And because you're feeding them, you're you may have a different style, and the technology is changing all the time, every day, and changing the sport. And some of the old timers get behind that, and they're not capitalizing on it. If you have those tools, you can surely increase your odds of making a good cat dog.
So, who to get a pup from? So I guess we're going to try and cover the who, the what, the when,
and how,
right? And how.
Yeah, and
and by who, we're not going to give you a phone number to call.
No, because that chances are that it may not be the dog for you.
Yeah. Chances are that number's discontinued. That guy anyways, he's not going to answer.
Right. Yeah. And chances are you'll see you coming and take care of your retirement for him. But, and I don't mean that in a negative way. There are really good breeders out there doing a really good job and asking a fair price for their dog.
Yeah.
For a puppy or even for a started dog, for the work that goes into it. I absolutely believe that. So the who, I think, would be, I would, look at folks from your area, especially if you're just starting out. If you got a pack of dogs, you can throw a dog in from anywhere and try it out. I've done it. And I love doing it. I enjoy that. Another local hunter I mentioned in other podcasts, he may kick me in the tail for mentioning his name, but Robin Powell's another guy that has imported a lot of dogs into this area and tried them, spent a lot of money doing it. Not afraid, and I've always looked up to the guy for that.
Right.
He's the guy that put his money where his mouth is and tried it, and he's a good handler.
Yeah.
Anyways, and he'd done things his own way. So I've always looked up to Robin. Haven't hunted with him ever, but talked to him and know that he's a successful.
Sometimes you just pick up things that you don't have to go out with them.
Nope.
You can just tell a guy.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I mean, when there's 15 guys calling it a dog, chances are it's a dog.
Yeah.
So anyways, first I would look at for dogs from your local area, from folks that are successful. And again, all of this is to increase the probability that you're going to be successful. It's not foolproof. So again, you got to remember, we're just increasing the probability that you'll be successful, or that the dog will be successful. So picking a dog from the area that you are from is and that is successful at the target game that you intend to hunt. You can get a good dog. You can get a bear dog that'll catch cats and a cat dog will catch bears. But chances are to probably be better at one than the other. They're typically not the same dog, but there are rare dogs that are really good at both.
Right.
I'm definitely not saying that's not true, but and
I would say, if you have a mentor, a group that you hunt with that's kind of taking you under their wing, you probably should lean on them a little bit.
Absolutely, especially if you enjoy going with them.
Yeah.
If you enjoy hunting with them and you enjoy their company, you're fulfilled with the hunt, you're satisfied with how your hunts are ending, and you're having a great time. Absolutely, that's where you want to go, and for a couple of reasons. One is, of course, they've got dogs from your region that are doing the target game that you want to hunt. The other thing is that some guys get kind of breed specific, and so if all those guys you're hunting with are hunting walker dogs, and you show up with black and tan, they may not call you to go hunting with them as often.
Yeah, or they may not give you credit for your dog. Whenever
Absolutely.
Your dog,
yeah.
If your dog does a little better, it might.
Right. Yeah. There's always that too. There's always your dog doing better, and they shun your dog.
Yeah.
And there's just so if you enjoy hunting with them, and that's a part of the hunt that you really enjoy is the social side of it, I encourage you to get dogs from those same guys. And
yeah, and I would like, I am not a follower by any means.
Yeah.
Like I don't. I always wanted to go beat my own drum, and so I'm not saying, if it were me, I'm not saying you have to toe the line, and I wouldn't do that way. But I would, especially starting out.
Yeah.
You know, to make those relationships and get to those invites to go hunting.
If that part of the hunt is important to you,
Yeah.
the social side of it, going against the grain probably isn't the wisest choice.
Right.
But if you're one of those guys that you see things your own way, then and going out on your own and being out on your own is really important to you. Doing this on your own is important to you. Then absolutely. Again, you still want to look at those dogs if they're being successful, because
absolutely
those dogs.
Just realize that you're taking a different road, and it's probably gonna be a little tougher. Like, honestly, if you're going out with somebody successful and you can throw a pup in and get it some in some opportunities.
Yep.
There's a lot to be said.
That starts to help. That starts to help dull the edge of the knife that you've been dancing in while you're training your own dog without the help of others or buying another dog. It definitely helps dull that edge.
So the region, the mentor, those are things you want to consider.
Absolutely. As important. That's probably the number one.
And they may have a dog that they like, or, you know what I mean? That if and when I say that with I think, I don't know if Jason mentioned or whatever, but if a mentor has, like, they like walker dogs, they might try and help you find a good dog that they like, that they can't, and so that when they're hunting with it, whether it's their dog or not, they kind of have a little bit of ownership of it, which could be healthy. I mean, it could be not healthy too, I guess, unhealthy. But I think that kind of helps buy in a little bit.
They may have a desire to hunt a dog from another breed or from another pack, but not have the room.
Yeah.
And be like, man, get this dog, and I've always wanted to try one. Get that, and let's try that.
Yeah,
you know, and so you kind of try it together, and that kind of brings another aspect of the hunt to the table and picking a dog. But you know, it's so now you know the address, you know, so to speak. Yep. Now what? You know. Mm-hmm. So you show up, and I've heard a lot of strategies. Of course, we can go back to the old days of, you know, picking the pick of the litter, and how the pick of the litter came about was.
Explain that. I think I know where you're going to.
Yeah.
So how the old days? Like,
so back in the day, the strategy.
My lawyers probably I should make a little
disclaimer here. Yeah.
This is not what we're recommending you do. Okay.
No. You would probably raise the eyebrow, law enforcement, and a lot of others, but the old strategy was that you let the mother pick the pick of the litter, and that's how the name pick of the litter came.
That sounds so cute.
Was Mama gets to pick.
That's adorable, Don.
Yes,
now,
isn't it?
Now, how would I go about doing that in the old days?
Doesn't this sound beautiful? Yeah. Well, go get yourself a bale of straw and put it in a circle. You know, a big circle. Maybe you need some kind of accelerant. Put all the puppies in the middle of the straw circle.
Yeah, straw circle on the ground. So you get a big old straw circle on the ground.
Separate mom from them. Separate mom from them. And light the straw on fire. And whatever pup she saves first, that's the pick of the litter. That's how it came about. And that's how they used to pick the strongest, healthiest dog or pup out of the litter.
That's how they made Mama pick.
That's how they made it happen. Oh. And it's kind of a barbaric way of doing it. I definitely wouldn't recommend it, but apparently it worked, because look how far we evolved.
And I imagine it's just a little bit of probably for
it's probably not going to singe the hair off the dog as she jumped through, but just enough to create panic. And you may not. I mean, maybe they didn't. Maybe that was an exaggeration. You know how stories evolve.
Yeah.
Maybe they put it near a fire.
Yeah.
And never was in a ring of fire or whatever.
But the story is that they made Mom have to choose one to save.
Yep. And she would go in there and pick a pup, and that was pick of the litter. It wasn't up to us. We did not decide. We did not have a choice in the matter. So that was absolute unbiased by human.
And there is something to be said with that. In our experience we've had some dogs with kidney or whatever,
kidney failures,
Ranger dog, and 100% I had
mom excluded it.
Mom would he'd come home, and this pup would be in my closet, and I mean, it just looked like another pup. I mean, to us, we couldn't tell. You really couldn't. There was no rhyme or reason why this one pup was in the closet.
Yeah.
And I mean, Laura would get so mad. Like, what are you doing, Copper? Get it back, put it back in there. And she, you come out and there'd be a nest of them, and that one pup would be sitting out by itself. And we ended up keeping that pup because it was like the runt, or it was just
you got attached to it.
Yeah, exactly. Laura was really attached to saving this pup, and
committed. Yeah.
I don't know, was it 4 months, 5 months? Blood work done, and kidney failure. I mean, just
But wasn't that puppy's name Birdie?
Birdie, and then
that's one you got from me was Birdie.
Yeah, and a Ranger was another one.
Yep. And it was the same deal. She was excluded. Both them pups were excluded from nursing and the litter by the mother. And
unbeknownst to us, we wouldn't have.
You wouldn't look at them and go, "That puppy's sick." They looked all the same to me. But somehow she knew, and she told us, and we did not follow the cue. And
that wouldn't have been the pick out of the fire.
No,
she would have chopped it off in the fire.
No,
that's a bad joke.
But
for whatever reason, she wanted those puppies dead. Like not. It wasn't like she killed it herself, but she was like, "Yep, they're going to go off somewhere where she couldn't hear them." And if it was in the wild, if that was a coyote,
it wouldn't have made it overnight.
Yeah. Exactly. It was isolated. Like, I don't want to listen to this puppy cry, and this puppy's going to die. That's what the dog was doing.
Yep. She was
to us, and we overrode that and forced her to care for the puppy, to let the puppy feed, to do all the things. And 4 or 5 months later, it didn't matter. It was like we just prolonged it for 4 or 5 months.
Absolutely, and so there is a lot to be said. But you show up and Mama's excluding a puppy. I wouldn't pick that one.
Yeah,
that's definitely not the one I would pick. Although it's some of our nature.
Yes.
As I get older, and especially you take your children, or take your wife, who are just naturally more nurturing than males typically, they might pick that pup or encourage you to pick that pup, or you may go home with 2 puppies, and the end result still be 4 months later the thing suffered and died.
It was.
So that too should be another, piece of the discussion is who you take with you when you pick a pup.
Yeah.
Do you take the wife? Do you take the family? Do you? And I think that probably depends on
what you
want, and how involved your wife and children are in your hound activity, your hunting.
Yeah.
If they accompany you a lot, absolutely, I would encourage you to take them with you.
Yeah.
If they don't participate, if they wouldn't walk across the street to go hunting with you, then they're cute puppies and the kids like to see them. But if they're not involved in, I wouldn't take them. I'd go pick my puppy by myself. And but when you as a family are committed to the activity of hounding, you want all in.
Yeah. And I think that kind of touches on the style, like we were talking earlier, like family, no family, the type of hunter it comes from. Is he a hunter that hunts
really
6 days a week?
Yep.
Is he a weekend hunter?
These are some of the questions. Yep. Absolutely.
So this is the style of pup that who you're getting it
style
from.
of dog that this is going to become.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they're just laying there and they're easy.
So let's keep on the family thing. So in my situation, my kids are actively and those dogs are a part of our household. Neighbor kids are coming over. You know what I mean? Like they're just. I got no tolerance for a dog that's a little ill.
Yep. Might bite.
Yep.
Yeah. So when you visit that home, that's a question you want to, ask the owner and make observations. If there's kid bicycles around and, tricycles and kiddie pool and a swing and dog tracks all over the place, you're probably pretty safe.
Yep.
Those dogs are probably going to be just fine around and be an enjoyable companion around the house.
Yeah.
But I would ask too. I would ask how are the parents around children and families and housebreaking. If you intend to have your dog live in the home as a companion, there's been years and years and years of us breeding these dogs, and housebreaking has not been a part of it.
Right.
We kennel them or tether them, and if it could, by just virtue of not selecting dogs that are easily housebroke, you may you're
kind of interjecting two different. We're at this style where you go to somebody who their dogs are outside in kennels and they hunt 6 days a week. You know what I mean? Like that may not be the family dog that you're going to go hunting once or twice a month or whatever.
Absolutely, and that's definitely the next question is for that breeder is that handler. How often do you hunt?
Right.
And if they're retired, semi-retired, and they hunt 5 days a week or 6 days a week or more, and your opportunities are every other weekend, be very careful there. Be very cautious, and because you may wind up with a dog that if you are not giving it attention, if it's not being interacted with very regularly, exercise, choose siding off your house. I mean, and that is not an exaggeration. I have seen it.
Yeah.
And then of course there's where do you live? What's your environment? Are you living in a neighborhood?
Barking,
absolutely. You can create, it's a negative towards hounds.
Your wife, everything starts to go negative because you picked.
Yeah.
You got on the internet and was like, oh, this dog's going to hold up and it's going to hunt 6 days a week. And it's like, you may think that's what you want.
Right. What you get focused on, I think is man, look at all the pictures of the cats this guy's got.
Yeah,
look at everywhere I talk to this guy, they all say that, this breeder, this guy is catching a pile of game.
Yeah.
But he's hunting 6 days a week, 7 days a week.
Uh-huh.
And you want to be very cautious about that. I'm not saying you can't pick them, but I am saying that you want to be very cautious. And you can wind up with a dog that is way more, very difficult to handle and very difficult to train when your only opportunities are 4 days a month. Because the dog has a lot of energy. The dog is not in the learning curve, because it's just so excited and so wound up. It's not in the learning curve. It's not in that state of mind. It's just, oh my gosh, I'm ready to roll, run. And they're tough to break when they're like that. They're just tough to handle. You just, and again, you may give the wife or the family a negative outlook on hounds or your neighbors, and that kind of reflects on all of us, oh, that guy is, barking hounds, and hounds get such a bad name for barking when they don't bark any more than the Labrador up on the hill or over the next block over. It's just that it's really easy to identify a hound, long ears and how they sound.
Yeah.
So it's just really easy for him to come. Oh, it's that guy because those are
he's got all those dogs
with the long ears.
Yeah, long ears. So, and that's not saying don't. That's not saying do.
Absolutely.
It's just saying if you're, and it doesn't mean go get a cull. You know what I mean? Like, we're not saying that. Oh, you can't. You don't want to get the. We're just saying that guy that's hunting that much has got those dogs knocked down.
Yep.
They're hunted down. Some of those dogs don't do good until they're hunted down for 3 days.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you take that dog out on day 1 and day 2, it's too crazy. I mean, it's just
wild.
It's passing track or not making turns or whatever. But on day 3, that's when that dog starts to shine.
Yep.
And somebody that can get into that day 3, day 4, day 5, and then keep them in that routine, that's the prime for that dog.
Absolutely. And there are guys, percentage-wise, that hunt, that have their opportunities are 4 days a month. They hunt weekends or 6 or 8, whatever. And percentage-wise, they catch a lot of cats.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, absolutely. Just because a guy hunts 7 days a week doesn't necessarily mean he has a better program than the
Right.
guy that's hunting 8 days a week. You look at the percentages of the times that they catch. I mean, and there's some to be said about uh, those opportunists that have 8 days. They
8
don't.
days.
They,
What do you mean? You're losing me 8 days.
8 days a week or 8 days a month to hunt.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, sorry.
Damn, Don.
So
I used
think
to
my
think
dogs have
7 was
thought
good.
that a
Now
time or
8
two.
is.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Uh,
8 days a month.
8
Couple
days
days, weekends.
yeah, weekend opportunistic
Yep.
hunter, and I don't use the weekend warrior thing. I think that has a negative connotation to it. It's opportunity. I think the guys that work full time and they have opportunities to hunt weekends deserve a lot of credit. I mean, because they're working 40, 50 hours a week and then spending their weekend out there with the dogs. Man, that absolutely.
And a
hats off to
dog
you.
that, and that's the situation where that's going to be you. A dog that wears down a little bit faster might actually be better.
Absolutely. Trains easier, typically. Breaks easier, typically. And here, the other positive, I think, to that is that the guy that has, 7 days a week opportunity to hunt, it's raining today, I'm staying home.
Yeah.
It's blowing today, I'm staying home.
Uh-huh.
It's snowing, I'm staying home. That weekend opportunist person, it don't matter what the weather is.
They're going hunting.
He's going hunting, and he's catching cats in all those conditions.
Mm-hmm.
That guy you want to look at.
Yeah.
You definitely want to look at him.
Yeah.
I mean, in the cat season, maybe he's not catching the numbers that the guy hunting 7 days a week is, and he don't even have the reputation as that guy, but he's hunting the opportunities regardless of conditions, and he's catching cats. Even if I am the guy hunting 7 days a week, I'm going to look at his dogs.
Right.
I'm going to take the time to look at his dogs because he's catching those cats in all those conditions. He's not high grading days. He's not high grading cats. He's not high grading ground. That guy
he's just going hunting.
absolutely deserves the respect.
And I think sometimes that gets overlooked
Absolutely.
a lot because everybody looks and goes, "Oh, this guy's hunting," and so it's easy to box in things and be like, "Oh, that guy hunts so much; he's got the best dog." And he got dogs that fit him. I mean, otherwise, you're hunting 6 days a week. You're not messing around with dogs that don't work.
Right.
I'll just tell you that right now.
Right.
But they also are looking for different qualities in dogs that hold up more. You know what I mean? So the build, the feet, the stamina. There's some things like that they're looking at that would probably be detrimental to a guy that didn't hunt enough. Like that dog could. Putting that dog in a situation where it's not getting hunted is you're just not putting it in the right opportunity. That dog needs to be
right. You take the dog from the pup and raise it in your pack of 7 day a weekers, and his feet blow every other. That he just didn't have the feed in him where he's.
He could have been a really damn nice dog.
Yep.
But he just doesn't hunt good on day 3 and day 4.
Yeah, right.
But you don't need day 3. If you're the guy that don't need day 3 and day 4, there's some damn nice dogs out there.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Not saying that dog won't strive in that pack,
right.
And then vice versa. You can't take you could take a pup from that 7 day a weeker and then put him in the weekenders kennel and he do fine too.
Yep.
But you could put him in there and he overruns tracks a lot. He's wild at the tree. Yeah. He's, I can't keep him off my damn pickup on the rig. He jumps around all the time.
There's just no absolutes, I guess.
Right.
At the end of the thing is don't box everything into absolute. Like,
right.
This is what I need. And because there's so many things on that.
Don't do it, but do it.
Yeah.
In other words, don't do it, but do know you can increase the likelihood of success if you're picking the right pups from the right breeders, and then too, there are guys out there that are starting dogs now, and doing a really good job of that, I know some guys that historically have not been much as far as have not had much success in catching bobcats. Get dogs from some of these breeders who are starting dogs, and all of a sudden they're catching cats. So there's a lot to be said about that. And starting dogs is not for everyone.
Right.
Sometimes it's in your best interest to hire a trainer.
Yeah.
Take a dog somewhere to that 7-day, or if he's, a trainer that trains dogs. That's a really good option too for folks. It's hard to train to start out. Um, when your opportunities are 4 days a month.
Yeah. So let's talk about that, like the curve, the learning curve. When to get the pup, and again, sometimes you don't have much choice.
Right.
Right. Like it.
I don't think there's a magic number, but I prefer 12 to 16 weeks, and the reason is I want them absolute socialization by mom. I want her to absolutely have them weaned, absolutely teaching them to stay away from her when she's tired. When she don't want the puppies around. I want them to absolutely understand that when mom growls at you, that that's a consequence.
Right.
Because then when I growl at you, that's a consequence.
Yeah.
And so it just helps me. I think helps as far as socialization. Any dog growls at you, or any dog is.
So you want them to be with the mom for as long as.
Not past probably 16 weeks, and because then I want that. I want to be a part of that learning curve too. I want to be part of that, but I don't want them to be completely past that. And I think they start moving on, 18 weeks and that. But again, in saying that, I don't want to discredit the guys that, that are training pups up to 6 months, 8 months or whatever. And, cause those guys probably, there are a few guys in the country, only a few that I can think of that I know of that are successful at that. They're doing a good job of it. I mean,
Right.
The dogs are coming out social. They're, not all of them, of course, but I think probably the majority of them, they're just really good at what they're doing. So, but they're not turning loose of a dog a lot of times under 6 months, you know? I think that's a really good strategy. But again, if you pick your pup and, I think looking at good handler to help you get started is a good strategy also. But those guys are far and few between, and
So what?
expensive.
If you were to, and again, you don't have much control, but what time of year would you want to get your pup?
Well, I like my pups to be between 7 and 10 or 11 months when I can start expecting snow.
Really?
I really like to have that. I just feel like snow gives me a huge advantage, and to put the dog, it's my responsibility to give the dog all the opportunities I can. And so that puts them at that time, if I'm doing my groundbreaking, and if I'm doing my part, they're ready around 7-10 months to start their own tracks.
Right.
And when we get the first snow, even if I have a pack of good dogs, I'll leave my good dogs at home for the first few snows, and just take my puppy and put him out there and let him fail and let him succeed. I don't let him fail too many times in a row if I have the ability to put another dog with them and help them succeed, because I feel like if they're running game and they're not catching, there's no end game, that because they want to catch. The dogs I like, that I look for, they have a desire to catch. And if they're not catching and getting that reward, and that reward being me being excited and petting them up and giving them that positive enforcement, if they're not getting that, I think that in some ways you can discourage a dog a little bit. I feel that way a little bit, and I think there's some old timers maybe put that in me. I don't know, because I've hunted with some guys that if a young dog takes a deer, they just let them run it. They ain't gonna catch it, especially if they're young.
Right.
They're gonna run all over the freaking mountainside, and you just go on hunting. And I've done it. I've done it many times, and I know that you, not you so much, but I've hunted with another fella that it just drove him nuts that I would do that. I would just let the dog go and come back 9 times out of 10 if I pick my pup right. 9 times out of 10, the thing finds me. It shows up. It's like, and it's tired, but we still go hunting. It's still expected to hunt. And so there's some natural consequences to running that off game. And so if I've picked my pup right, they kind of
So
win.
who I guess how would you go about finding the who? Like you know what I mean? Like
Internet, of course, is really a good source of information, good and bad. Absolutely. You can portray a lot of good on social media and not share the bad, which is kind of the deal.
Yeah.
But go with them. Absolutely. Ask for opportunities and be thankful, be grateful. Also, knowing to shut your mouth too when you're hunting with folks.
I think that's a big.
Knowing to just observe and say that. I'm just just observe and but be grateful too.
Everybody's proud of your pup, your dog, especially if you have one or whatever. And that's what you just said is easy to say, it's difficult to do. You know what I mean? It really is. And it takes a bit of self-awareness to realize that some of those old timers, they may not. I get this at I'll just use double use an example, but I'll be trying to explain something and somebody cut me off and be like, well, but this is why I did that. And like, okay, well then go do that. You know what I mean? I was just telling you why that's not going to work. But if you think that's going to work, why am I here? You know what I mean?
Why are you asking?
It's one of the, exactly. Like you don't need me. Go do that. And then am I going to pay for this? Then I'm going to pay for you to do it twice, but I'm okay paying twice because I want you to learn something. And so sometimes, and I guess that what I'm saying there is if you have somebody that does things a certain way, that doesn't mean it's the right way, but it means it's the way that they do it and it works for them. And don't expect them to try to explain to you why you should do that. You know what I mean? If you're gonna, but this dog does that, or but that's why this doesn't work for. But if you have the butt syndrome, that's like, that won't work for mine. It may be true. I'm not saying it's not, but that guy, you may shut that guy up before he even gives you his advice.
The root of what he was trying to tell you. And I always, and you've heard me, I've told you this. I've told you and your wife this and hurt your feelings. I've seen it. Everything after butt is bullshit.
Yeah.
And and so it was just what's the intent? That's what we're going for.
Right.
We don't need butts.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna and I'm a real advocate again for be your own houndsman. If you have a way that you want to try it, absolutely try it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But don't expect.
Exactly. Don't
the mentor to
you're not going to teach him anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially,
he maybe
if he's being successful,
he'll look at it and go, well, what happened there? But
there's not many there's a few of the guys that are like that. But if you show up and he's hunting all the same dogs, same color dogs out of the same strain of dogs, he's got his program, and he's probably not interested in learning. Why would he? He's doing what he likes to do. And
I had a guy. He probably don't listen to the podcast, so I'll talk about it. It's some course. I don't know, some dogo or some kind of dog. It's like the world beater dog, and he was trying to tell me how it would do good for cats, and I was like, maybe it would. He said, well, you should take one. I'll give you a pup on no charge or whatever. These are $2,500 dogs. And I'm like, no, here's the deal. I don't, my time's worth more to me than to experiment. Like, I know what I want to do. That's not part of my program. And that's your deal. If you want to come and go, like, I'll let you go with me once or twice and get you, let you try one.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to turn my dogs loose with you. But,
I want to see this. Absolutely.
I'd like to see your experiment. You know what I mean? But they don't want. They just want to hand you the dog and be like, but this dog would do that. I'm like, here's what I think I would have. I just say, here's what I think's going to happen. It's like, no, these dogs are cold nosed and they're smart as a whip, and and it's like, yeah, but I don't want to try that. So have a good day. You know what I mean? And that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but
and that's just kind of a example of perception. yeah, this thing's cold nosed. It'll smell a 2-day-old cow track. Uh,
Yeah,
I don't
can
think
smell
you.
that son of a bitch too.
I don't think you're getting what I'm putting down here.
Yeah.
You know. But
So, anyways, that's a bigger thing.
yeah,
But on the micro scale, you could be doing that, like you said. If you got a guy that's got these, he's all their. I don't quit picking on the Walker guys, but they're all plots. You know what I mean? You just pick whatever, and it's
Yep.
like that's their deal.
hmm
You're not going to show up there, for the most part, with blue tick, and have them go, man, I've been doing it wrong my whole life.
right. Unless you, I mean, there. I guess there were times that, in my experience where I was like, yeah, I was definitely doing that wrong.
No, yeah,
and I could definitely do that different. And so there are opportunities,
but rarely,
yeah,
from a new guy. So
from a new
if
guy.
we're talking with
yeah.
a pup, what we're talking about is when you're taking your pup out to a mentor, try to limit the excuses.
You're not gonna, try not to teach him anything. Go out there and remember what the goal is.
Yeah, exactly.
The goal is to if you're looking for a puppy, and that's what we're talking about, you're looking for a prospect, then pay attention to his dogs. Listen to the man. Listen to what his environment is like. Does he have children at home? If you have children at home, those are type of things you want to talk about. Is he hunting, 7 days a week? You want to talk about those things. When you get out of and then even in a smaller scale, if there's a particular dog out of that pack that you related to, that you made a connection with, that you felt like, man, I really like that Annie dog, man. She,
whatever it was she did.
Yeah, something about her. Maybe she had come over and asked for a bite of your sandwich. I don't know. I mean, sometimes there's just you just get these connections with dogs, and I think that's really important. And you go, hey, Joe, I'd really like a puppy out of Annie. If you're ever going to breed Annie, I'd really like a pup out of that.
And he would know the history of Annie, so where it comes from and all that can come out of so and so stuff. And
he's hunting Annie for a reason. Yeah, if you're hunting with the right guy, you're at the right address. Mm-hmm. He has Annie for a reason.
Yeah.
And that's happened to me personally. And with I got dealt an unfortunate card in my life right now, but the only hound I have on the place picked me. I was camped with Zip, and I liked the only dog out of his pack that I really had a connection with was the mother of the dog the only hound I have on the place.
Right.
I gave Zip my word when he gave me the puppy that the dog would die here. Right. And she's 15 now, and
I come over here and I'm like, holy crap!
Yeah, she's still alive.
Still around.
Of course she is, buddy. Of course she is.
We were joking. We were like, you should have hunted her 1 or 2 more years. You should have knocked a little bit more out of her.
Yeah, I should have a little more out of her. But and that too is important to keep your word.
Yeah. If
you pick a pup from a litter, and even if you buy the pup and I've done this I always do this. This is etiquette, in my opinion. And some people have a different definition of etiquette, but in my opinion, etiquette is if I choose to get rid of that dog for whatever reason, I call the breeder first.
Yeah.
First dibs. If I'm going to give that dog away, I'm going to give it back to him. I don't care if I paid him $5,000 for that puppy.
Right.
If I'm getting rid of that dog, he gets first dibs at it. If I think the dog has value, it's just not fitting into my litter or to my pack. That's very difficult. I've had some that I go, this dog has had a lot of experience. Here's a good example. So I bought 2 puppies from a breeder at the same time. They were almost identical in ability. Why would I have 2 of them the same age with the same ability?
Right.
At about 2 years old. So I decided to sell one, and I called the breeder first, and I wanted $2,500 for this particular dog. I called the breeder. Hey, I got this dog from you. They're the same. They're both nice dogs. For $2,000, I'll sell it back to you. I'm gonna sell the dog for $2,500.
Right.
But I'm gonna give you a little discount on the dog because you bred the dog up, and if you could use the dog, I want you to have it.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna give the dog away, or if it's
It depends on the value. Like I said, if you're giving a dog away
Yeah.
because of value to a person, or
it's
a
weird.
young person, you know, I could see where you could give it to somebody where you're not giving, you're just not selling. You're selling a dog, but you're just not taking money.
Right.
That would be a little different. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Yeah.
if you're like, hey, this dog needs to go somewhere else.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. I'm selling a dog, but I'm not getting any money. That's a good way of putting it.
Because like, if you got a kid or something's like, hey, this is what you need, and there's people out there that will give there's a lot of people who will give a cold dog away.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not talking about that. I'm not
Right.
trying to, because that does happen, and there's plenty of that. You get the old dog that's got life.
I've paid to give a dog away, and a dog that I did not feel had what it took to become. It was a cull. And what I mean by paid to get rid of, I'd go down and have the dog spayed or neutered, and then give the dog away. The dog ain't going. If it's somebody's pet, what difference does it make?
Yeah.
Doesn't make no difference to the breeding because the dog was a nice dog. It was super social, and it had the temperament that I felt that it would enjoy a life with a family. I'll have it spayed or neutered and give it away to them. But
I think what you're talking about is if you take a pup from somebody and it's not your cup of tea, like you want out of the pup. Yeah. This is not
bit off more than I can chew, whatever, or it's just not fitting into the rest of my dogs. Yeah. So I believe that proper etiquette is the breeder gets first choice at getting the dog back. If you're gonna give it away, give it back to him. And I really try that. And given your word, like ding ding, this ding dog I got here, I gave Zip my word that that dog will die here.
Right.
And she's still here. And in a time in my life where I don't have time for dogs. But she's my house dog. She's a pet and all that. But she was a good hound. She was a nice, solid hound. I mean, so I don't regret keeping her, other than she gets me up 4 or 5 times a night to go potty.
Just like everything else in your life right now.
Right.
But something else.
Yeah. But anyway, keep being honest with the breeders. Like I say, is important, I think. And
that can go both ways, because
absolutely
there's definitely egos that probably would.
Yeah.
I've always been cautious. I've had people offer me dogs, and I'm like, I'm not going to take a dog from you because I'm nervous about their ego, and I don't tell them this, but I want to get a dog from somebody who, if it doesn't work out for me, okay, no hard feelings.
I didn't hurt their feelings. Right.
You can have the dog back. I don't care. I will give you the dog back.
Right.
I just don't want to hold this dog. I want to be able to call you and be like, hey, yeah, this dog doesn't fit my pack. Like it's not right
working
for me.
Yeah.
I want somebody who their ego is not going to be
in the way. Right. And and that goes, of course, both ways. I've seen dogs not get a chance because they I got this pup from so and so, and
he don't have good dogs.
Right.
Better than my dogs.
Yeah. The other person say, "Oh, you shouldn't have never got that pup." And then you start losing faith in the dog, and you start, it's tough. But more importantly, I think again is just you get that address, the where, timing. When if you have vacation time, and it's another good point too. I think that's you don't want that dog in its sharpest learning curve as far as game, that 7 to 11, 12 months. For cats, I know it's different for different game, but right during, in my opinion, the hottest part of the summer, or during deer and elk season, because you're stuck at home, and if you're going to run a piece of off game, it's going to be with that dog. Do that in the middle of deer season if you want to see some really pissed off deer hunters. I mean, or elk hunters, there's more reasons than just snow that I like timing,
you
to be right.
Yourself and a little more flexibility.
When's your vacation time? If you have vacation 2 weeks coming up, why not time that to the age of your puppy?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's really, really important.
Yeah.
So I think that's, means we can't use rings of fire anymore. I think that's probably your best strategies.
We should just try that one time. I see.
Yeah.
Burn.
Yeah. Put it on YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube, Facebook,
Yeah.
all that. I
Yeah.
think that would go over really well.
Yeah. If you want 3 hots and a cot for a while. Yeah. So.
All right. So when you're picking your pup, when like there's just things to just stop and think. It's easy to get enamored with. This guy catches so many cats. He's got the best dogs. That is not always. I mean, he does have good dogs. I'm not saying he doesn't, but we don't have to chase the 6-day-a-week guy all the time. And it's something to look at, but you really want to think about what your program is going to be. Your kids, how you're going to handle the dog. Are you going to be hunting the same way that guy is? And it's not saying that you may not want to get a pup out of his stuff. I'm not saying that at all. But you just want to be methodical about where you get a pup. At least I am really methodical about.
Yeah, it's a commitment. It's a huge commitment to, your family, your pack, and man, just don't overcommit. You know?
For me, when a dog gets to the Woodbury household, the culling process is like a government agency. You know what I mean? It's like there's a union, there's children, there's a process. I'm not saying that
when you have women and children, they have the whole family involved. There's a lot more to look at than its hunting ability.
Exactly. There's a union, and I'm not saying that I can't make that union happen. Like everybody knows that I make the final call, and I try to tell them as soon as I can when I think there's a dog that's not going to make it. I'm like, look, here's the deal. I may have to, and I'll start the tears early.
Yeah,
but
let the grieving begin.
But I will say that they probably have more opportunity for me because of the union. It's like I said, it's like I can't just go fire them. And somebody might be able to.
You pick your battles. You pick your battles, and it's uncomfortable. It's not fun to put your family through that. I mean, unless you got something wrong with you that it's not fun, and so that puts you on a heightened I don't know how you put it, but
when I select a pup, it needs to have a decent chance. You know what I mean? Like I want to look at it and go, I'm just not going to. The days of just going to the nickel ads and just grabbing a pup for me, no, that's not going to happen. I want to know who it's coming from, and I want to know the dogs. Well, I'll say this. I want you or somebody else that I trust to know the dogs, because I don't know the dogs well enough to do that. But that's why I was asking you last night. It's like, hey, this is what I'm thinking, and I start poking around and I start asking people questions because, I want to find out, and I want to know that when that pup comes in, the background behind the pup is there, and so that I've
increased my probability that it's going to be successful. I've decreased the probability I'm going to have a union meeting.
The union meetings are no good.
Yeah. So
they can vote me out of the tribe.
Yeah. So and that's one more thing real quick too. Yeah. Number of puppies.
Oh,
real
really
quick.
Good.
Is
litter mates.
Yeah, litter mates. I've experienced a lot of squabbles between litter mates as they grow up. Same-sex litter mates primarily. It seems like if you get a female and a male, you don't seem to have that as much. 2 females, you find there's some squabbles. But what I typically do is, if there's an opportunity, if I have room to take 2 puppies, I like to take 2 puppies and then pick my favorite later on. Call the breeder. You want this one back? I'll make you a good deal on it. I mean, I'll even sell it back to him for what I paid for it, and he can resell it or do whatever he wants with it. Because, or I'll give it away to somebody else that I hunt with or around or whatever. I pick my favorite. I really like that strategy if I have the room to do it.
Why?
I like that because kind of where I live, the puppies get to play together. They get to entertain each other especially when I was working full time. I've seen them be competitive to a fault, and I've seen them be competitive to where it's like, awesome, this is what I like. I mean, these 2 are really pushing for that position, and so I just really like that. So again, that's not, but it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, and there's some risk with that.
Absolutely.
With, the hierarchy.
Yep.
Fight
Yep.
as a dominance, I
Yep.
guess is the word I'm going to use.
Absolutely.
We had that.
And again, and I think that's definitely true of same-sex litter mates.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a pack of dogs, I probably would discourage. And when I start back up, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to start with one.
You think they just play too much out there?
I want to focus on that one.
Yeah.
I want to give 100% of my attention to that one. But there's some risk with that too. I could be 8-10 months into it and that dog not make it.
Yeah.
And I got to start again from scratch.
Yeah. Two, like I said, the other reason I could think of is you go out for a hike in the woods and the dogs, you got to make sure they know when to turn it on for hunting. When it's like, hey, we're working, and when we're not. And with two of them, not saying you can't.
Right.
But
it definitely that switch from I've got my collar on, it's work time, Dad does no tolerance for nonsense right now.
Yeah.
Is more difficult because of the distractions,
Yep.
of two puppies, and it's harder for you to give that message, so if you're just starting out, I think one puppy's, especially if you're not an experienced houndsman, and you're just starting out, one puppy is, and the reality of it is, one puppy, and it's probably going to fail. You're probably going to fail at it. First time, you got to have your heart in it. You got to have passion for this. Again, you went with Joe down the road and caught 3 cats 3 days in a row.
Yeah.
And it made it look easy. I promise you. I promise you, he had some hardship to get there.
Yeah.
And
two, if you go, like I said, if you go with two, you're just amplifying problems. Absolutely. And making the success harder. So even if you do, let's say you catch one, let's say you catch a cat. Now you got one dog at the tree, one dog running off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now you split your, you know what I mean? It's just little things like that. Sometimes Absolutely. You just don't realize.
Yeah.
But when you should be down at that tree rewarding that one, you got this
other
dog running on down the road,
right.
And you're like, you're worried about this one, and so you end up chasing the bad dog.
Yeah. It gets the
I
attention.
Say bad dog, but right. You know what I mean? The dog that's not doing right.
Yeah.
It fell out. It ran on a deer. Whatever.
Yeah.
You're reinforcing bad behavior because your time goes towards.
Yeah.
It kind of comes down to.
Absolutely.
And it's little things like that you don't think about.
Right.
But that's what you just focus because you have to.
The dog goes back on the track and it's up by the pickup, and they're hauling logs on that road.
This season I had a dog ran there and ended up having one bait up, whatever, caught one with 3 dogs. One dog slipped off and it was running. It was on a cat. I have no doubts, just looking at the track or whatever. But the guy I was with was really nervous about the one dog. And I was like, that dog's safe. It's not going anywhere. I'm going to focus on this because this is the cat I started with and that dog should be here. And I just mentally focused. I was like, I'll deal with that dog later. You know what I mean? Because number one, I want to be here. And so sometimes it's just harder to do. And you can't, you know what I mean? Like if you're running bears, whatever, it's on a road, like you got to go pick that dog
Absolutely.
up. Like there's no rhyme or reason. But that's the situation where it just causes these little micro problems
that take away from the dog that's doing good.
And you may not even realize it.
Yeah.
You may get home and be like, man, I don't know what happened. And it's like, well, it's because you spent your day on this dog rather than that dog.
Yeah.
And so
getting two definitely has its challenges. That's for sure. Even in a pack of dogs, it's just if you've got the time and if you got the room, absolutely you can do it. But it is a lot more work. And I know guys that I've heard this. If I haven't heard it 100 times, it's been 1,000. I'm going to keep the whole litter. I'm going to hunt the whole litter.
Yeah.
And you get back with him in a year and ask him how that worked out for him. How'd that go? And
about week 4, we're like, I'm done. The whole litter's gone. You make me an offer.
3 days later, you run into another hunter and he's got a puppy. Where'd you get that? Oh, I got it from old Joe. Oh, okay. I thought that would probably happen. It's really tough to be that dedicated. There are guys doing it. Again, hats off to them for that. It's just not my style of way of doing it. I would never. I've had in my life of, like say, 30 plus years of doing this, I've had 2 litters of puppies on my property, and I wouldn't have had the second litter if I didn't give my word to the breeder that I would allow him to breed that dog to his choice later down the road. I would have never had that second litter. I'm glad I did. I got a couple of real nice dogs out of it.
Is that blue ticks?
Blue ticks, yeah.
Yeah.
And I got one really nice dog out of it. And you got a nice dog out of that litter.
Kind of a nice dog.
And
she got her faults.
Yes, so do we all. But so I'm not a breeder. But so I go pick my puppy. Go pick my puppy, and when I have 3 good dogs, I have then I go looking for my gambler dog, and
you play around a little bit.
Right, I play around. I do. Because I've always looked up to Robin for stretching out and getting dogs from different parts of the country and trying them. So I do that. I try that because I've always looked up to him for that, and I enjoy that challenge, and it makes me. It encourages me to be more dynamic as far as my training, how I train dogs, and so that's what I like, Cool. That's what I do. So.
Well, half-hour turn as always.
Yeah.
Short little,
all right.
Short little race, and we got distracted. But no, it was good talking.
Yes,
got a couple
likewise.
podcasts here, Don. We need to do this more often.
Absolutely.
I need to get down here. I know. With the COVID deal, USDA hasn't been going there.
Right.
I was telling you, I need to get Zip and Jerry and some of these old timers.
Yeah.
Around the Oregon area, just because that's where
from this region
where
absolutely.
I'm from. So I want to do it in other states too. But I just know these guys here, and I need to try and do that some.
Absolutely. Yeah. As we definitely want to. Yeah. You definitely want to hear from those old guys too. They're successful for a reason, and they're a wealth of information. So
yeah.
They're good to chat with. So.
And they're fun.
Absolutely.
It makes me feel better whenever I hear their stories too.
Yeah. They're wrecks. I'm not the only one. All right. Well, thanks.
Yeah.